Howdy, 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 back at it again. This is going to be a matchup guide for Marisa versus JP. People said, can we do some matchup stuff? And I'm like, sure, let's do some matchup stuff. I wanted to start here because he's one of the most annoying characters to fight in the entire game. So we'll start with him. Want to start out with kind of a low-level gimmick, which is trying to cancel into Heavy Cane to get plus frames. Most of you probably know this, but there is a gap here that you can DI through. Okay. It doesn't exist on the light or medium versions. So like if I mash DI, it doesn't come out. So you can react to the animation. Let's show that real quick. So I'm just gonna react to the cancel. If he does it, I DI. If he doesn't, I don't. Now, something they can throw in to make this a little bit harder is command grab. I think with enough practice, you can react to both. But I think it's pretty hard. So you're gonna need to practice it if it's something that comes up. Like if you don't play against JPs that do this, I wouldn't really practice it, but if you're playing as JPs that like to do stuff like that, they're a little nuttier. It's something you're going to want to practice doing. I think if you watch like good JPs, if you watch like Broski, Brian F, they're not really going for stuff like that often, maybe occasionally, but not very often. But if you're playing at a lower level where JP just wants to do command grab every time he can, you probably want to practice reacting to that. Okay, so that's it for the up-close gimmicks. Let's go to kind of the annoying stuff. So that, of course, starts when you're back here. So first thing I have is Spire into Portal. Okay. Notice one thing, which is I'm +6 if he does this, which means if he tries to do something like obnoxious, we can sort of take advantage of it. Like, he shouldn't be able to necessarily teleport without us anti-airing him or things like that. Okay. But something you do want to note is because you're plus here, you can always take back at least a little bit of screen space so you're not completely far away. And I definitely think that you should. Okay. Now, on to the more interesting case. What if you block Spire? Well, if you block Spire, you can drive rush in and get a full punish. It'll always hit counter hit, which means your stand heavy punch is going to be +9. So you can always combo into back heavy punch, and you can go into a combo for a safe jump. Okay, so if it hits, take back your screen. If you've blocked Spire and you notice that all they want to do is throw to portal, drive rush in, get a punish. Okay, it's like, well, what if they do something else? Well, throw out a fireball, again, that's real. You have to actually just block it. I would parry it if you notice he threw a fireball, right? If you get hit, you literally just have to parry it. Not much you can do. But if you block the Spire, you can actually go through this with the same option. Now I didn't block the Spire. Okay, so that's no different than doing Portal, really. You get the same punish, it's the same situation, more or less. So if you're playing as JPs that when you block Spire, they want to throw out a portal, or they want to throw out an overhead fireball, or a low fireball, the overhead fireball and the low fireball are the same frame data. So if they're only picking one of those options, drive rush into stand heavy punch will beat all of them. Okay, so this is where you kind of have to, you know, be thinking and actually play the video game, is to go, okay, what's JP doing here? I blocked Spire, let's drive rush, right? Let's get there. Okay. Of course, there are things he can do. So if he throws a regular fireball, for example, and we block the Spire, we actually can't go through it because the regular fireball is a little bit faster. Okay. So we can't go through it the same way. Now you can do like drive rush into Superman punch if he's being extremely predictable about it. You can do that, and that's completely fine. Obviously, you don't necessarily want to do that if he's not doing anything, right? Because then he can DI it or anti-air it or whatever. But if he's being really predictable and he's just throwing out regular Fireball, you have an answer to that too. Now, the other option that he has to beat this Drive Rush tactic is to throw a closer Spire, right? So that'll beat that. And because of the timing of it, you can't really Superman punch it to punish either. But what's good about this, right, is if he's wanting to commit to this, you just sort of walk in and take your space. Right, you do a forward dash and you can block it in time. You can just sort of stand here and then you have a ton of space. If you know he's going to do this, you can probably even wait him out, right? You just wait for it and then get some pressure afterwards. But the name of the game for you should always be getting back into like this range, right? Trying to get in there to score a knockdown. Okay, so that's it for if you get hit by a spike or block spike. How about Fireball? Okay, so let's look at the Fireball stuff. So first off, in this case, if you get hit by the regular Fireball and he does Spire, that's even. Or excuse me, if he does Portal, that's even. So you have to be a little more careful about Teleport or Instant Explode or whatever. If you block the Fireball and he does Portal, you can do the same thing. Okay, so if you notice that he has a tendency to want to put out portals all the time after you block stuff, like if he's ever doing that after something where you didn't get hit, you can always punish it. Okay, the other thing he could do is throw out a second Fireball. This will cover this pretty well, but not super well if you're close. If you're far away, it beats you pretty clean. And same option as before will actually whiff just because of the pushback, right? So you really have to be careful if you're this far away, if you're kind of full screen. But if you're full screen, you can jump over that. Right? You can actually walk and then jump over it. So if he's doing Fireball into Fireball, it's not actually that scary. Of course, he can also make you scared by doing overhead Fireball. So if you, or low Fireball, right? You're going to want to parry that. Of course, same idea applies. You can still walk forward and jump if you know he's going to do it. So last general thing that I want to speak about is his Wake Up. OD Amnesia, right? Amnesia, it's in some ways a great reversal. In some ways it's terrible, right? It's great because it beats throws, it beats strikes, it can switch sides, he can do full combos into super and all this other stuff. Like, in some contexts it's the best, in some ways it's not that good at all. Okay, it's still susceptible to safe jumps. So, for example, this here, look at the frame meter, it says 14 frames. Now, you cannot punish him for doing DP in that way, right? That wasn't a punish counter, but he could not interrupt that forward heavy kick. Okay, so if he tried to throw me into the corner or push a button to do a combo, it wouldn't work, so the safe jump still is good. General setup for a safe jump is going to be that combo. Okay. The safe jump's very strong against JP, right? Because his Wake Up is good against a lot of our other setups, but against the safe jump, we still get pressure. Our other safe jump setup is doing the overhead here, jump light kick, and that's at plus 13. So again, towards heavy kick will meaty him. It'll beat every regular option he's going to do, and it recovers in time to not get punished by the Fireball or by the trap or bomb or whatever you want to call it. Okay. Let me know if you think this is not what you wanted, if you want something different, what you want different, if you would prefer quick tack things like against Honda, or if this is preferable. As always, hope this is helpful. Have a good time.